right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jazmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. Hi, Dad.
How are you?
Good. Today we're going to be talking about Teen-glish. Yes, you heard that right. Teen-glish. It's a word that I'm going to assume that you made up, Dad, because I heard it first in your book. In this book, The Inspirational Parent, you talk about this teen English, new type of language that you're hearing from teens in your training room, and after all your years of experience kind of running into them, they're saying things that their parents aren't hearing. So it's kind of like its own, new language.
Yeah, it's just a term that I created because kids don't know how to articulate themselves in a powerful way. They don't know how to ask for what they want because some of them don't even know what it is that they want. They're still trying to figure out what their needs are. So in the transformational trainings for teens that I facilitate, kids feel safe enough to be able to be vulnerable enough to self-reflect and really look for the very first time at themselves and think to themselves, what is it that I really do need from my parents? What is it that I really want? And a lot of times when they try to articulate themselves in a certain way of their needs, they get confused. And so they try the best they can to speak and communicate what it is that they're yearning for from their parents. And then what I do from my knowledge is take what they're saying and then I'll ask them, can I repeat it back to you and then tell me if this is what you're saying? And then I'll say it from my words and their eyes will light up and they'll go, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's what I need from my mom, from my dad. But I don't know how to tell them that, or I'm afraid to tell them. So what I did was in the book, I took all the 20 plus years of experience working with teenagers and hearing their cries, hearing them speak from being vulnerable enough, and feeling safe enough in a transformational training in a room full of people that they trust to be able to share some of that stuff. And so what I did was I wrote all that stuff down and I put it in the book. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about some of that.
So what I'm kind of understanding it as is more of it's not really the words that they're using, it's their, willingness to be vulnerable and their emotions that are behind it, where you can kind of get those words and articulate it in a way that a parent would understand. Because, I've been in those training rooms too, where I don't want to say they're rambling, but, the teens are sitting there and they're trying to explain how they feel. And sometimes they get frustrated, especially the boys.
That's right,
they get
do.
frustrated and they're like, never mind. And you're like, no, go on. Is this what you're trying to say? And as soon as you find those right words or the perfect words for them, they do light up and they do get excited. And it's interesting that parents don't really have the ability yet to see that, teens aren't perfect communicators, especially if you as a parent aren't perfect communicators too. And it's really interesting just to kind of see that dynamic when I'm sure there's something going on when you tell the parents, this is what your kid is trying to say. They're probably like, well, why don't they just say that? Or no, they're not trying to say that. And so how do you deal with the translation to the parents?
Well, I think the best way to do that is actually speak for them right now, right here. So I'm going to give myself permission to be that for your kids. And then you get to hear it and decide whether it's probably accurate or inaccurate of what your kids are trying to tell you. And then we'll talk about it. So the number one thing is what most kids are saying is be patient with us. And what does that mean? That means, one, we are kids. We haven't mastered our life yet. So be patient with us. Number two, we don't have all the answers. So be patient with us. Number three, we are going to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. So be patient with us. Number four, we need you to see those moments as moments to teach us. So be patient with us. And then number five is being patient instead of taking your anger and frustration out on us because we're not doing it the way that you need us to do it or the way that it makes sense to you. So be patient with us. So those are the 5 bullet points that I've taken when kids are saying be patient with us. That's even if they're conscious and aware or evolved enough to even stop and say, hey, Mom, I need you to be patient with me. Your kids aren't going to say that. They're saying it in the training room the best they can. And then my job is what I'm doing is grabbing that, and then I'm asking them a little more details. And then when I'm asking them, they're going, yeah, that's what I want from them. So that's what they're saying when they're saying, be patient with me.
And when I hear you say be patient with me, the word that kind of comes to my mind is expectations. I think parents maybe have an expectation of their kid. Obviously, everybody does with in any relationship, but parents have a certain expectation with their kid, and their kid is saying, "Be patient with me. I'm not there yet," or "Be patient with me. That's not who I am," or like I'll get there. But for me, as I remember being a teen, is there's definitely an expectation for me, which was I was kind of like the more responsible kid, and if something needed to be done or handled, it was me that took on that burden or took on that responsibility. And there's times where I wanted to scream out, "Be patient with me. I'm 16 years old. I can't do everything."
And as a conscious parent, a practicing conscious parent, man, I wish that you would have said that. I wish somebody would have taught you that. I wish I would have been able to create a even more safe environment for you to figure that out on your own and have the courage to say, "Hey, Dad, slow down. I need you to really be patient with me." Or, and kids aren't going to do that for whatever reason. That's why we're doing this work, is to create that level of consciousness where our kids are waking up. And that's why I do the trainings, so kids can have that courage to go, "Mom, Dad, hey, slow down. This is what I really need from you." And we're going to get there. That's my vision one day, is to get kids to be able to be confident enough to speak and communicate what it is they need from us. The next thing is what they really want from us as parents is to be a good listener. Most of us aren't good listeners as parents. And what does that mean? It means be willing to hear our ideas and consider them as a possibility instead of being quick to dismiss them because they don't make sense to you. So when they're saying, I need you to listen to me, they need you to listen from a place of being open to all possibilities, not trying to fit what they're saying into the box of right or wrong, or already foreseeing problems, rather than just being open to, I never considered that before, or that's interesting, let's explore that. They want you to first listen and let it land, right? You talked about this a lot of times. When you're sharing, people aren't listening to listen. We're listening to either be right about it, or to come back and defend, or to point out what you're saying is not going to work, or we already have a predetermined response rather than just listening from a place of listening. So that's one of them. They're also saying, when you listen to us, we need you to hear our own truth. When we're sharing from a deep place of us that's trying to find our own truth. We need you to listen from that place. We need to find our own answers. We need to discover our own voice. We need to self-realize how truly amazing we are. And we can't do that if you're not being a listener that's open and allowing it to the communication to bounce off of you and back, so that we can hear ourselves talk.
I really, really love this one. So if we could maybe paint a picture of what that looks like, and what I'm looking for that I think will help parents is what your teen's own truth, quote unquote, own truth is. So, I mean, I kind of have an idea of what it is, but I feel like hearing you paint a picture of an example that a kid would believe their truth is, and then maybe the parent version.
Well, a kid discovering their own truth is having the parent listen from a place of not correcting them, but being just an open space to be heard. So if I'm a child and I'm coming to you and you're my mom and I'm going, "Oh my God, I want to take this next adventure on and I think it's going to be amazing," what I need is for you to just create some silence after I'm done communicating, so that I hear myself saying what I'm trying to discover about myself. And in that silence, you have to trust that as I'm sharing it and I'm communicating it, that I'm realizing some things, that I'm getting clarity about some stuff, that I'm discovering my own answers, my own truth is starting to come out in my conversation. Another thing that you can help me find my own truth is, instead of giving me solutions or answers, ask me questions. "That's awesome, son. What does that look like for you?" Or that's amazing. How are you gonna create that? Or what are some of your thoughts? Where's your starting point? Like, you have to ask these powerful, open-ended questions for me to self-reflect and keep developing on that vision that I'm excited about, and that thing that I want to create, that I'm so excited about achieving, or that goal that I'm after. So either being a great open silence so that I can hear myself share, or ask me open-ended questions to help me go down that road and discover and dream a little bit more.
So, kind of going back a little bit to you explaining the scenario of a kid coming to their parent, I think for me the truth part and is the exciting part. So whatever they're excited about, hey mom, I really want to play baseball. There might be a way past history of 10 years of them being terrible at sports, being bad at soccer,
Or
being
quitting.
bad at
You quit everything you start.
or you may have this preconceived idea that, oh, my kid's not cut out for sports, or he's not really a sports guy, so you make up all these things and push it onto your kid. Your truth is being pushed onto your son now, and now they believe, oh, well, I'm not good at sports, or I'm just going to quit, so why do it anyways? Where those are the kind of things that, going way, way back to other shows, you talk about self-limiting beliefs. Those are things that you're pushing onto your kid, and they start believing those things about them. But for me, the truth is the important part, that it's, I don't want to say necessary, vital, whatever. You can parent however you want, but I want to push that it's very important for us to have parents who are going to let us come to those realizations on our own. Maybe I am really, really bad at sports. Maybe I'll be terrible, but I don't want someone else to tell me that. I want to know myself.
Absolutely. So here's a great example. I'm going to cut this short. I'm probably going to out my family here for a minute, but that's what we do in the show,
Yikes.
right? And it's not my immediate family. I was at lunch with my mom the other day, and she has custody of my my nephews and niece. My nephew was gung-ho and excited about being this extraordinary baseball player when he started high school in the 9th grade. And he was all gung-ho, and he came to me excited, and I was like, I'm so excited for you. However, and I was very delicate, be prepared that when you play with some of these kids, they've been playing since they were little, so your learning curve, you're really going to have to practice harder, and you're going to have to want it more. You have to double up everything to just develop those skills. But I was still excited for him. When he said that to my mom was excited for him, but she was very delicate with, awesome, we're going to come to your games and support you. So he went through his whole high school career playing on the bench because he wasn't that good. He wasn't up to par with the rest of the kids. But we didn't have the heart to tell him that, nor we don't want to squash that dream of his, and we want him to discover his own truth and let him decide whether he's good or not good. Well, he played all 4 years on the bench, had a great time. He got to dress up, and he looked all fancy, and he had the bubble gum and the glove out in his back pocket, and he went out like a pro with the sunglasses on his back. He did all that, and he enjoyed himself. So he had already graduated. So yesterday I'm having lunch with my mom, and we were laughing a little bit about how she goes, oh, poor mijo, he wasn't really that good at sports, but none of us had the heart to tell him that. We didn't have the heart to tell him that, but nor did we want to tell him that, because he has to realize that for himself, which he eventually did. He eventually decided his last year, I'm not going to play anymore because I want to start focusing on what I'm committed to for when I graduate for the rest of my life. He decided that he wasn't good enough, or he decided that he was probably not going to play or wasn't at par with everyone else and wasn't going to be a starter, and then he didn't want to waste his time anymore. So it was a great example of us not projecting our own judgments on him and letting him figure that out on his own. And so a lot of times as parents, we get in there and we project our own fears and our own doubts and our own judgments onto our kids rather than creating a safe space for them to figure out and decide their own answers and discover their own truth. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is our kids are asking for us to encourage them. They want encouragement. And if you haven't figured this out yet, encouragement is an art form. It's a way of being. You have to learn how to encourage people. It takes a committed intention with a mindfulness to say certain things to people, to encourage them to remember how amazing they are. So what does that mean? What does encouragement mean? Encouragement means to speak to our potential. Our kids are wanting us to speak into this potential, this greatness that you might see that I don't yet see about myself because I'm only 12. Speak into our greatness. Speak into what we're capable of. Speak into what you believe that we're greater than. Speak into something that's greater than we think that we currently are ourselves. Most of the time, as human beings, we have limiting beliefs about ourselves. We think we're not good enough. We think that we're not strong enough, pretty enough, talented enough. And we need you to speak into that greatness because that's what eventually comes back around and it encourages us. we need you to, it says, knowing that we're already in doubt of ourselves, remind us that we're greater than our limiting beliefs. Remind us that I'm capable of doing anything that I decide to. And that's what encouragement is. If you think of any coach in any kind of sports, it's someone looking at you going, of course you can. No, I don't know if I could do it. Of course you can. You just have to operate from the of courseness. Of course you can do that. Of course I believe in you. Of course it's going to be the way that you want it to be. And so it's about speaking into the greatness of us, speaking into the possibility and our highest potential.
So I have two thoughts on that, and I'm hoping that I don't forget one before we get to it. But the first one is I really like that you're using the word encouragement, because for me the word is validation. I'm constantly chasing validation from my parents that I'm good at something.
Well, that's what you're seeking on your end as a child.
Right. But I like the word encouragement because I feel like it has a little bit more of a positive connotation than validation, because there's a little bit of the, well, why do you need validation for? You're your own woman, but I need it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't.
All kids need it. All people need it. All human beings. I don't care what level you're at. We all need to be encouraged.
And it's just like with, your wife, or it's mostly going to probably be with your wife, but, your wife or your girlfriend says, oh, I don't need flowers. I don't need love. I don't need thank yous or whatever. She does. She's just saying that because she doesn't want to seem like she needs it. But, we do. Like, as human beings, naturally, we do. So the encouragement part is more than the second thought is the encouragement part is more than just the initial, you can do this, of course you got this. It's more than that. It's the follow-up too, because I've had 1,000 encouragement speeches from my parents, my boss, my friends, coworkers, whoever. I've had those speeches before, but there's no follow-up afterwards, meaning, yeah, you can get me pumped for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even 2 weeks. That never lasts. It's always the hilltop feeling. There's always a down, there's always a slow decline from that feeling. So the follow-up, always constantly checking in. How's that going? How do you feel? Do you need another pep talk? Constantly paying attention to where your kids are to keep them up there instead of having to do all this work to push them back up.
Well, the encouragement is to push them up. You can also encourage from the back end as well, but you can also, from the back end and the follow-up, you can also do the I'm proud ofs. I'm so proud of you, whether you achieved your goal or not. I'm so proud of you made the attempt. So the I'm proud of yous on the back end is also the full circle, the encouragement, and then the follow-up up from I'm proud of you, whether you took it on or not. I'm so proud that you even considered it. You got to acknowledge them no matter what level and what level that they decided to embark on that. The next thing is, our kids need for us to be affectionate with us. This is what our kids are yearning from us. This is that Teen-glish. Hey, mom, hey, dad, we need you to be affectionate. So what does that mean? What does being affectionate with me mean? It means that you are affectionate with us. When you're affectionate with us, it undeniably lets us know that you love us. Words are not enough. Let me say that again. When you're affectionate with us, your affection lets us know undeniably that you love us, and words aren't enough. So you can say I love you 1,000,000 times, but one gentle hand on your shoulder or a pat on the head for a little kid or a high five or a shake, or even just holding your hand and a little squeeze or a little tug or a wink or something like that, it sends energy down. It sends love energy to your heart, and it just reconfirms, and it's undeniable. Words can be challenged because I have limiting beliefs. I have self-worth issues that if you tell me 1,000,000 times, it's going into this deep hole of unworthiness. It doesn't land the way it does like this, or touching you or holding your hand. It's undeniable.
Well, words are completely different, because if they're not followed by action, it's almost like they have no validation. There's no proof that those words have any meaning, because I don't know what it is about action or physical touch or whatever that makes people feel like something is all of a sudden real. It's kind of like your words are just an idea until they're done or until there's follow through. So if you can say 100 times, son, I'm so proud of you, but until there's quote unquote whatever follow through is, pat on the back, ice cream after the game, whatever that looks like, that's what they're looking for. So the words are great, but I don't want to say but, so maybe I shouldn't say but.
Let's call it a two-level process. There's a front end and a back end. A lot of us do the front end. Hey, I love you, son. Hey, I'm proud of you. There's no back end to it. So the back end is the experience. Cause an experience after you tell them I'm proud. If you say I love you, or you're amazing, or I'm so glad you're in my life, follow it up with a hand gesture, or rub their knee, or put your arm around them, or do one of these little shrugs. Follow it up with some kind of experience so you seal it. A lot of times when I'm doing coaching, whether it's with parents and their kids or with couples, when they're done communicating, it's an amazing communication. I'll say, all right, seal it up. All my clients know this. When I say seal it up, they they smile and they shrug, and they already know what seal it up means. It's either give me a hug or let me give you a kiss on the lips. We seal it up with some kind of physical affection, and that's what our kids are yearning for. And remember this, when they were little, man, you used to shower them with so much affection. What happened to that? What happened to that permission that you gave yourself to be able to love them like that? And it's amazing. Affection trumps all half-hearted attempts at showing us that you care, that you love us, that your affection is undeniable. One more time. Affection takes courage. It takes risk. And if you're willing to be courageous and take those risks with us, you win our hearts. It allows for us to trust you more because you were willing to take that risk of rejection. And so therefore, somehow, deep down inside, I'm going, man, you were willing to risk rejection. It means more to me than anything in the world that you were willing to stand there, open your arms to say, hey, bring it in for a hug. And we've connected with you at a deeper level. And now I trust you with my life. And now I trust you enough that I'm going to come to you and ask you for support, or I'm going to come to you and share with you some of my downfalls.
It, really, after hearing you say that, it really breaks my heart thinking of all the times that I've rejected you or mom or, my sister, my brother, or whoever who tried to give me a hug or try to give me a pat on the back or whatever. And I either am in a mood or
if I try to touch with my feet,
God forbid I try to I always push them. But I sometimes I don't take those little things as affection, and that's exactly what they are. Obviously, you're not just purposely trying to annoy me, so that really breaks my heart, because there is a lot of courage that comes from that, and I apologize, and that never crossed my mind that it's taking a big risk that somebody's going to say no. It's like when you go to give someone a high five and they're not there, and you're like, okay, never mind then. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more of the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, STV.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
We'd like to thank our advertisers and readers for their loyal support since 1991.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, Elite and the Magazine of Santa Clarita.
The only magazine in our valley mailed to 80,000 homes and businesses every month, with over 250 pages of community news and features.
Discover how the Magazine of Santa Clarita can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
This is a Rita's Daybreak. There's a huge crowd at Rita's. With so many amazing flavors, every day's a treat. Let's see what folks are celebrating.
I lost my first tooth.
No more training wheels.
My dog photo got 37 likes.
3 kids, 3 activities, 0 meltdowns. There you have it. Layer it, blend it, or drink it with Italian ice and creamy custard. So many reasons to celebrate at Rita's. This has been a Rita's Daybreak.
Rita's. Hometown. Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jazmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. And today we're talking about Teen-glish. And in case you missed any of it, Teen-glish is my dad's version, one of his little Alexisms that he made up for teens who speak their own language and speak, their own truth when they're being vulnerable and when they're in a safe space to really communicate and express how they feel. So if you want more information on that, you can read his book, The Inspirational Parent. Right now we just came up with this over the break, so bear with me, but we're going to kind of go over and give you some scenarios of what your kids are saying, so what the actual Teen-glish is. And I'm going to throw a scenario out to you, Dad, and I want you to kind of come up with a way that the teen is going to say this specific request that they want or need that they have. And if it sounds familiar to you, if you're listening and it sounds familiar, it's probably because this is how your teen is asking for things. And it's not just teens. I was just saying over the break, I do this all the time, and I'm already 22. So I have a quick scenario is, and I'll say it because we just went over it on the break, but I wanted to buy a brand new car. And I'm scared, I'm nervous, don't know how to ask mom and dad if it's a good idea, don't know how to ask for some backup, for some help. What do I say? How do I walk into the kitchen with mom and dad in there?
Well, you're going to have the best answer because you probably just did this not too long ago, but I'll give you my version of what I think teens are going to do. First off, they're going to hint around to the possibility that they want to even let you know that they want a car. So they're going to dance around the possibility of just flat out asking you, hey, mom, dad, I want a car and I want you to help me. That's what it would sound like if they had the courage, if they had the confidence, if you created a safe space for them to come and ask you anything. A lot of times as business owners or managers, even parents, we always say, I have an open door policy. You might say you have an open door policy, but your way of being isn't being open. Your way of being isn't being inviting. Your way of being isn't playful enough so our kids come and feel that safe, vulnerable, not judgmental space that you create for them to come and ask us flat out. So what happens is they dance around the question. So they might say something like, hey, mom, what do you think about these new Hondas? They look pretty cool, aren't they? They're only $12,000. They're saying they're dropping these hints, and we're not in that frame of mind to pick that up because as parents, we're not present, we're not conscious, we're not mindful, we're not aware most of the time in every given moment of the day. So because our kids aren't flat out saying that, we just don't pick up on that. And after the son or daughter drops those little hints, dancing around the subject that they really want to address, and then we don't bite it, then they go off and they storm off into the room.
Yeah, and you're like, I'll try again later.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I've been there so many times.
So then what would you say? What do you remember saying specifically? What does it sound like?
I very specifically remember I was talking to my mom because my car was just shot. So I was saying, hey, mom, what do you think about I said, what's the process of buying a new car? Because I'm tired of buying these little clunkers off of Craigslist. What's the process? And what I was looking for was my mom to say, awesome, this is what you do. This is where we should start. I just saw a commercial for these Kias, or I was expecting her to be as excited about it as me. But most importantly, I was looking for, again, validation and encouragement, for her to encourage me. This is a really good decision for you. That's not what I got. Not because, anything against my mom, but my mom is very practical. So she was more on the, are you sure you really want to take on a car payment, or, do you even have enough credit? So all her practicalities came out, and all I really was looking for was someone to entertain the idea. So I closed my computer and I walked back to my room.
Yeah. But I also want you to remember that with your parents, you're going to have good cop, bad cop. Because if you remember, dinners before you got to your mom and asked her that, I was planting seeds in your head about the possibility that you should buy a car. So if you want validation, you also got to know which parent to go to, because one of your parents is probably going to give you the validation, and the other parent is going to give you the, well, maybe you should really, do your homework and you should really crunch the numbers. So if you're let's say your dad is the frugal one and he's going to be the one that's going to tell you what not to do and what to avoid and to really think about, you're not going to go to dad to initially to get all fired up and get excited and get validation that you should get one. You should probably go to mom because she's probably going to be the champion and the fanning the flame. So you also got to kind of know what your parents are and how to kind of get supported the way that you need to as well.
Yeah, and I also, because I do know that I did go to you first and got all, I have a hype team that is right there to be like, yeah, you should do that. Oh my gosh, you've been driving that around that stupid car with no air conditioning, and I can't believe you haven't got one by now. Anyway, you have all the people that are backing you up, but my mom is the one that's gonna always tell me like it is. She's always gonna tell me the side that I don't see.
Right.
So I do that with her all the time, But I wait. I just did this to her the other day. I tricked her into going to dinner with me because I wanted to talk to her about a serious topic. So, what I kind of do is I wait until I get to a certain point where I'm like, okay, it's decision time. It's make or break. So I talk to my mom because I already know I'm leaning towards one side. So I kind of want her to tell me the opposite side. And I just told her this the other day. She was kind of in agreement with me, and I was like, no, you're not supposed to do that. I was like, you're supposed to be, the same.
But you could have asked her, hey, normally, or when you realize she was on your side, you should say, all right, now I want you to play devil's advocate. Now I want you to flop to the other side and tell me all the reasons why I shouldn't. Or maybe right now what I need from you, Dad, is to talk me down from this. You know what I'm saying? And or throw things at me that I can't see right now. So you can also ask for that as well. And it really boils down to the kids, don't know how to ask that. They're going to just dance around it. And as parents, we got to be more mindful and more aware and be a little more clever and realize, okay, my son's trying to ask me something here. And then just flat out say, okay, you're asking me all these questions about cars. Are you thinking about buying a car? Like, you got to be a little more inquisitive.
Yeah, too. It's interesting to me that I can dance around a question for weeks. And my mom or my dad or whoever never really gets what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And a part of me is like going back and I'm scratching my head like, are they messing with me? Like, they know what I want. They're just waiting for me to say it.
No, but we don't know what you want. That's the problem is a lot of times we don't know. We want you to figure out how to just flat out say, hey, Dad, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Will you support me, or will you help me look for, and it's like, yeah, no problem. But, again, this is what kids are doing. Kids are not going to be direct. They probably don't even know how, or no one's taught them how, or they haven't had the safe space for them to feel like it's okay to do that. They're going to talk in code. They're going to talk Teen-glish. It's your job to figure out what it is that they're trying to say. So I want to get back to some of these things that I wrote down. The next thing is what they're asking you in Teen-glish is we need you to model. We need you to model the behaviors that that you're looking for, that you need from us to be able to walk a straight, narrow path to live our life in a powerful way. So what does that mean? We need you to model the behaviors that you want us to learn. We need to see it. We need to witness you being these great qualities that you so desperately want us to become. We need to mimic you because we're going to mimic you either way. But by you telling us you want these things and then you showing up the opposite way is sending mixed messages. If you're going to want us to show up in a certain way, you're also going to have to model that for us. You're going to have to be it. You're going to have to figure out how to reinvent yourself to become that in front of us. And then what we do is we unconsciously follow your lead. That's what happens as teenagers. Not what you say, but who you choose to be.
Yeah, this really hits home for me. This is like the story of my life is I'm very like the people that I look up to or the people that I'm even working under at work or, I'm looking to them for guidance and especially at such a young age. And I'm looking to my parents to tell me what to do. And I'm looking for someone to validate that what I'm doing is okay or whatever. And as soon as something switches, because I'm watching from the monkey see, monkey do, as soon as something switches, I'm like, okay, I have to switch. What happens is when I switch, I get in trouble. When I switch at home and I'm doing what my parents are doing, all of a sudden, this is not like you. I can't believe you're doing this. I didn't raise you like that. Or at work, I switch. Why are you messing up? Why are you making so many mistakes? What are you doing? So it's kind of like in both scenarios, you can't throw it back in their face and say, as a young teen or a young adult, and you can't throw it back in their face and say, well, because you're doing the same thing, because you get in trouble. So it's kind of like, before you come at me and before you, start freaking out or calling this whole meeting, maybe consider that I didn't just pull that out of nowhere. Maybe consider that I mirrored that off of you first. If that's not a consideration, then go ahead. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, but that's from the parent that is willing to take responsibility. From the responsible version, look at, okay, if my son or daughter is now showing up like this, I got to look at myself and say, well, then where am I showing up like that in my life that they must be seeing that? Like, in other words, if you're going to call your kids on some things and tightening their game up, your game's got to be tight too. If not, all they're doing is, like you said, monkey see, monkey do, and they're doing that.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to paint the work picture was because I know that some parents that are listening, they've been there before, either with their own parents or at work. They've probably been in that seat, and it's such a negative feeling to be in. So, kind of just take that, with a grain and imagine what it was like when you were there, or maybe you're still there sometimes, and see what it's like for your kids when they're confused and they're getting these mixed messages.
Absolutely. The next thing your kids need that they probably don't know how to tell you, but this is what they're saying. We need you to learn how to manage your emotions. What does that mean? We need you to be proactive, not reactive. We need healthy emotional interactions with you, not dysfunction. You bring your dysfunction into the relationship and you project all of those negative emotions or unhealthy emotions onto us. We're gonna react. And now you're reacting, we're reacting. No one's being proactive here. We need you to teach us how to hurt. We need you to teach us how to cry. We need you to teach us how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way. We need to know that what we're feeling is okay, and not led to believe that our own feelings are bad and wrong. And a lot of times we can do that when we're telling our kids, what are you crying? Like little simple things like, what are you crying about? Just that. And I've been guilty of that when you guys were little. A lot of times, because of my own insecurities of crying or not knowing how to deal with it, it just comes out. What are you crying about? Just you saying what are you crying about leads the kids to believe that it's not okay to cry. When crying is a healing emotion, it's a natural, organic process of learning how to deal and cope with whatever it is that we're trying to deal with.
Yeah, I can kind of, for girls especially when you're young, because I got that too. I'm instantly, for whatever reason, our family is full of criers, and growing up with, why are you crying? I'll give you something to cry about. All those comments
that's the old school mentality. I grew up with that. Are you kidding me? It wasn't even, what are you crying about? They said that after I got a hand slap. It was, what are you crying about?
Yeah, and so for us, it's kind of, I hate to bring being a millennial into it, but for us, it's kind of like we were taught and raised not just differently by our parents, but in a completely different culture, completely different society, where speaking up, being your word, saying what you feel is right, those things are huge. Those are important. That's why there's so many, marches on the street. There's so many things going on and so many social movements, because that's just how we are. That's how we grew up, and that's our generation. So to have an old school style parent and grow up in this type of generation in society it's really confusing. I don't personally know, but I could see how that's really just it throws you all over the place, because you go home and you have these old school style parents, controlling parents, and then you go out in the world and you've got teachers and leaders telling you could do whatever you want, you could be whatever you want, you could say whatever you want, but you got to go home and sit down and shut up. So it's definitely worth it if you still feel like you're living in that controlling style parenting, especially as they get to teens, to fall into your grandpa years, your grandparent years, and be, just relax a little.
Yeah. As again, to reiterate, as your kids, what they need from you, what they're yearning for you, is to learn how to manage your emotions, be more conscious of them, and realize that unconsciously you could be projecting your fears and all your judgments and your anxiety onto your kids. If you learn how to manage those, they're going to trust you more. They're going to come to you and they're going to open up more. Another thing they need from you is to be vulnerable. What does that mean? It means to experience your experiences, to feel your feelings. When you're sad, we need you to be courageous enough to express your sadness to us. Us meaning kids. So parents, your kids are yearning for you, that when you're feeling sad, they can see you sad. They can feel your sadness. You're the only one that's living in the illusion that no one else sees your sadness. So why not be emotionally honest and say, hey, you know what, your mom's not having a good day today, or dad's feeling a little sad right now, or just I need some time or whatever. Just let people know what you're feeling, so it validates that when they're seeing you sad and you're acknowledging it, they're going, okay, dad's sad, or dad's hurt, or dad's afraid. How often do we not let our egos acknowledge that when I'm afraid, I get to share that I'm afraid especially to my kids? For whatever reason, it seems like parents don't want to acknowledge their own fear with their kids because they're afraid that they're going to be judged, or they're afraid they're going to lose so-called control, right? So your kids want you to be vulnerable. They want you to express yourself in your vulnerability. Bring your walls down. Let them see you hurting. Let them see you afraid. And I think that's the biggest thing that the ego doesn't want to give up, is being vulnerable. The next one is, we need you to hold us higher than we hold ourselves. What does that mean? It means we need you to keep holding us to a higher standard, from a calm, loving place, not from a frustrated and disappointed place, but from a calm place. Like, hey, I know you got that in you. I know that there's a part of you that's going to overcome this. I believe that you're going to figure this out. I know in my heart that you have the right answers. It's coming from this calm, centered place rather than fearful place of that they're not capable of figuring out their own solutions.
And that's the ultimate, like, fear-based parenting, is when, you're and I said this earlier, when you're pushing all your beliefs and all your fears onto us, it kind of, it breaks down our spirit a little bit. We could be so excited about, going to college, and all of a sudden you're afraid we're not going to get into that big college, and it's going to be the most devastating thing ever, and you want to protect us. So you try to soften the blow, but all you did was, you were the blow. The words that you said were harsher than a piece of paper that says, I'm so sorry you didn't get in.
I know.
It's interesting to see so many parents try to protect us only to be the reason why we're hurting sometimes.
Yeah, it's like we're afraid to be kicked by other people, not to realize that our own parents might be kicking us unintentionally and unaware and unconscious. Here's another thing kids need. We need you to keep talking about this amazing person that you see us becoming, painting this beautiful picture of someone to aspire to be someday. So our kids want us to speak about this amazing human being that we keep seeing you in the future. Keep speaking to, keep reminding us that that's who you see me. That's how you envision me to be, this guy. And so just keep speaking into that greatness. Keep reminding us the morals and the values that you taught us when we were young. We need to be instilled those values. We need to be reminded of them. And if you haven't taught us, then we need you to be humble enough to own up that you haven't taught us, and then start this new journey with us. Right now, if you're listening and going, oh man, I totally wasn't there for my kid when they were little, and I didn't teach those things because my parents maybe didn't teach me. Right now is a great opportunity to say, hey son, hey daughter, I didn't teach you those things. So let's start now. I don't care if they're 12 or 30 years old. Let's start a new journey of learning higher morals, higher principles, higher values. That way we can live our life on a powerful foundation.
What's interesting is seeing, parents don't really go on to that whole let's take this journey together kind of thing. And I feel like we probably see that a lot in teen trainings, where parents sign their kids up for these and say, here, fix my kid. I'm going to go spend the weekend hoping that this works.
Yeah.
And so many times it's obviously not the case. But when we do parent-teen trainings and it's both of them going through it, those are the people that walk out and they're like, giving their speeches at the end, like, I can't wait to take this journey on with my kid. I'm going to bring my other kids into this, and I'm going to, they are the ones that get really, pumped up and excited. And even when you do your parent trainings and it's the parents, they're like, oh, I can't wait to bring my kids into this, but the kids never went through that experience. So that's what's really interesting about the parent-teen trainings, is those are the only times I see the parent and teen working together to kind of get through that. So maybe I smell a parent-teen training coming. I don't know, but stay tuned.
I actually want to have a family training in the beginning of the year, so look out for that one. That's going to be powerful.
Stay tuned for more of the Inspirational Parent. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS.
The
best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
Have you heard about the Assistance League retail store? For a good time and a great deal and bargains that are amazing steal, there are friendly volunteers ready to share a smile. So come on in and stay a while. We take donations of gently used goods, and proceeds from our sales stay in the neighborhood. So for a great buy and a special find, come visit our store anytime. Assistance League Retail Store, located at 24369 Main Street in downtown Newhall.
With the safe disposal of waste from our homes in the Santa Clarita Valley, Chiquita Canyon Landfill is able to create enough green energy to power 10,000 homes each year. So you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jazmine Urbina, here in the studio with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. Today we're talking about Teen-glish, which is a form of teen English. I'm laughing because this is just another one of my dad's Alexisms where he makes up words.
10 years from now, when everyone's talking about Teen-glish, don't say anything.
To be fair, you were the first person I ever heard use the word dope, and then 2 years later it came out.
Nah, dope is old. Dope is old.
Or, it was like the coolest word ever.
So here's one of the last ones. The last one is our kids are yearning for us to be present. They, especially in today's world where technology is such a big thing and a big part of our lives. A lot of times, whether our focus is in our phones or in our computers or in technology, we can also be focused in our heads and checked out. We're tuned out. We're checked out, not checked in. So what they really want from us is to be present. And it's funny because most kids aren't present themselves, but yet when they need us, all of a sudden they want us to be present. So what does that mean? It means that when we're ready to open up and talk or share with you, that your whole world stops and that you make this moment that we have chosen to trust you and let it in to become more important than anything in the whole world. And I know that's asking a lot from a parent because a parent has a lot of challenges and a lot of responsibilities. But I think that's what kids are yearning for. It's like, look, I've been in my room for the last week trying to figure out how to bring this to your attention. When I finally got the courage and I come to you, the last thing I need you to do is to be checked out. I really need you to kind of be present in this moment and notice that I'm here ready to kind of share this with you.
I'm going to have to disagree with the part that it's asking a lot for parents to do, to drop everything. I understand it's a challenge. I don't agree that it's asking a lot from you guys as parents, only because I feel like naturally what you guys want to say is, oh, when you want something or when you want me to hear you, I have to drop everything and listen. But when it's the other way around, you guys, don't do that. Well, yeah, because you're the parent, you're the responsible one, you're the, so as much as I hate to say that, because I don't like expectations, as much as I hate to say it, there's an expectation of you as a parent that the same way there's an expectation of us as the kid. We're supposed to respect you. We're supposed to do our chores. We're supposed to listen to you. Well, you're supposed to take care of us. You're supposed to teach us, so it's a give and take. And if I can't be given something, if I can't take something, then I can't give it almost, if that makes sense. So for me, there is no, it's not asking a lot from my parent to get off of Facebook, to listen to the thing that means the most to me, something that's drastic, even if it's not to you, even if you don't think that, Susie making fun of me at school is a big deal. To me, it's everything. It's my truth. It's everything to me. And whatever's going on Facebook cannot be more important than what I have to say. So does that make sense? I'm not trying to say that you guys don't have other things that are going on that are more important, but I am trying to say that I don't think it's asking a lot to want our parents' attention when we want to speak to them.
I'm glad you said that, and you're starting to be the tough one now, because I'm always the one in that seat, always being hard on the parents. So I was trying to be compassionate with saying, look, I know there's a lot on your plate. I know that you have a lot, to worry about, whether it's bills and how you're going to feed the family and all that kind of stuff. But yes, this is what your kids want. They demand you to be present, especially because you don't know what they go through, to finally have the courage to come to you in that moment, and you miss an opportunity. Before we run out of time, I have a whole bullet list full of stuff, so I want to kind of go through these real quick, 2 minutes. This is also what they've been saying in the training rooms, and I've been jotting these down and writing them down for the last 20 years. I want my parents to walk alongside me as I make mistakes, advising me calmly and more compassionately. I want my parents to understand how hard it might be for me to put themselves in my shoes without getting angry or upset. I want my parents to create a safe, loving, and peaceful environment for me so that I can be open and honest without them overreacting or jumping to conclusions. I want my parents to be that centered, grounded, and optimistic person, my rock, that I need to see when I'm nervous and scared. I want my parents to model urgency from a healthy place instead of the reactive, fearful panic mode they always seem to manifest. I want my parents to control their emotions and encourage me while pointing out the things that I need to change or correct. I want my parents to believe I will arrive at my destination on my own timeline, not within their time frame. And those are the magical bullet points from the Teen-glish library of kids that are seeking certain things, specific things from you, because this is what they say they need from you to be able to grow into these powerful young leaders that you want them to be.
I hope you enjoyed giving those last couple bullet points, because you gave me the shut up so I could finish and get through my list.
Well, now that I'm done with it and I got it out, because I want parents to go back and look at this recording and just sit there and go, wow, I need to keep hearing this over and over again. I need to be reminded that this is what my kids want.
Thank you so much for joining us today on The Inspirational Parent. We're here every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. right here on your hometown station, KHTS.